Her mother needed medicine, but Maya had nothing left to give. On a cold Brooklyn night, Maya Carter made a choice that cost her everything. She gave her last $100 to a man no one else would even see. By morning, she lost her job, her stability, and nearly her hope. But just when it seemed like the world had closed every door, someone knocked. And what stood behind that door would change her life forever. The rain had been falling for hours, thin and steady, turning the streets of Brooklyn into a glossy blur of headlights and reflections. Water dripped from the edge of the flickering neon sign above the diner, the red letters buzzing faintly like they were struggling to stay alive. Inside, the air smelled of fried food, burnt coffee, and exhaustion. Maya Carter moved quickly between tables, balancing 2 plates on one arm while wiping her damp hands on her apron. Her shoes squeaked against the worn tile floor with every step. She had been on her feet for 10 hours, and the shift still wasn't over. "Table 4's been waiting," Rick's voice cut through the noise from behind the counter. Sharp, impatient, always just loud enough to embarrass her. "I'm on it," Maya replied, forcing her voice steady. At table 4 sat a couple dressed like they didn't belong in a place like this. The man wore a tailored coat that probably cost more than Maya's rent, his watch catching the yellow light every time he moved his wrist. The woman beside him scrolled through her phone, barely looking up. Maya set the plates down carefully. "Here you go, let me know if you need anything else." The man glanced at the food, then at Maya, his eyes lingering just a second too long, measuring, judging. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Try being a little faster next time." Maya nodded. Of course. She turned before her expression could betray anything. Behind her, she heard a soft chuckle. It wasn't new. None of it was new. The looks, the tone, the quiet assumption that she didn't belong anywhere except carrying someone else's plate. She kept moving. The bell above the diner door suddenly rang, sharp against the hum of conversation. A gust of cold air swept in, carrying the smell of wet pavement and something harsher, like damp cardboard and the street. Maya glanced up. A man stood just inside the doorway. His coat hung loosely off his shoulders, soaked through. His beard was untrimmed, his hands trembling slightly as he tried to close the door behind him. Water dripped onto the floor beneath his boots. For a second, the entire diner seemed to pause. Then Rick stepped forward. "Hey," he snapped. "You can't stay here." The man looked up, blinking slowly, as if adjusting to the light. I just need somewhere warm for a minute." Rick shook his head immediately. "No, this isn't a shelter. You're gonna have to leave." A few customers turned their heads, some annoyed, others pretending not to notice. The couple at table 4 watched openly now, their expressions somewhere between discomfort and mild curiosity. The man's shoulders sagged slightly. "Please, I won't cause trouble." Rick pointed toward the door. "Out. Now." Maya stood frozen near the counter, a tray still in her hands. She felt it, that familiar tightness in her chest, the one that came when something wasn't right, but no one else seemed to care. The man hesitated, then slowly turned back toward the door. For a brief moment, his eyes met Maya's. There was no anger in them, no begging even, just something quiet, tired, invisible. The door opened again, and the cold rushed back in as he stepped out into the rain. The bell rang once more. Silence settled in behind him. "Unbelievable," Rick muttered, wiping the counter like he was erasing the moment. "People think they can just walk in anywhere." Maya didn't move. Her hands tightened slightly around the tray. Then, slowly, she set it down. Her heart was beating faster now, though she wasn't sure why. Or maybe she did. She reached into the pocket of her apron, pulling out her small, worn wallet. Inside, folded carefully, was a single bill. $100. It was everything she had left until next week. Rent was due soon. Her mom's medication was already late. She stared at the bill for a long second. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory, soft but firm. Don't let this world make your heart smaller, baby, no matter how hard it gets. Maya swallowed. Around her, the diner went back to normal. Plates clinked. Someone laughed. The neon sign buzzed again, like nothing had happened, like no one had just been pushed back out into the cold. Maya closed her wallet slowly. Then she picked up her coat. "Where do you think you're going?" Rick called out. "I'll be right back," she said, already moving toward the door. Rick scoffed. "You got tables?" But she was gone before he could finish. The rain hit her face immediately, cold and sharp. She scanned the sidewalk, her breath quickening. There. The man hadn't gone far. He sat hunched on a bench near the bus stop, shoulders curled inward against the cold, his hands tucked under his arms. Maya walked toward him, her steps slow at first, then steadier. The city roared around them, cars splashing through puddles, distant sirens, the hum of a place that never stopped moving. But here, under the dim streetlight, it felt quieter. The man looked up as she approached, surprise flickering across his face. "I'm sorry about that," Maya said gently. He shook his head. "Not your fault." She hesitated for just a second. Then she reached into her pocket. The $100 bill felt heavier now, like it carried every worry she had. Her rent, her mother, her future. She looked at it one last time. Then she held it out. "Here," she said. The man blinked, confused. "I can't take that." "Yes, you can." He stared at the bill, then back at her. "You don't even know me." Maya gave a small, tired smile. "I know enough." The rain continued to fall between them, soft but relentless. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, slowly, he reached out and took the money. His hand was cold. "Thank you," he said quietly. Maya nodded, her chest tight but strangely light at the same time. She turned back toward the diner, the neon glow flickering in the distance. Behind her, the man watched in silence. And for reasons she couldn't explain, Maya had the sudden feeling that this moment, this small, quiet decision in the middle of a rainy Brooklyn night, was about to change everything. But she had no idea how much it would cost her first. The diner door swung open as she stepped back inside, the warmth hitting her all at once. Rick was waiting, and his expression said everything. Something had already begun. And there was no turning back now. The warmth of the diner felt different when Maya stepped back inside. Not comforting, not safe, just heavy. Rick stood behind the counter, arms crossed, eyes locked on her like he had been waiting for this exact moment. "Where were you?" he asked, his voice low but sharp enough to cut through the room. Maya hung her coat back on the hook, water still dripping from the edges. "I told you. I stepped out for a minute." Rick's jaw tightened. "Yeah, I saw that." A few customers glanced over, sensing tension the way people always did, like sharks catching a trace of blood in water. Maya picked up her tray again, trying to slip back into motion. "I've got table 6 waiting." Rick didn't move. "You gave him money," he said. It wasn't a question. Maya paused. For a second, she considered denying it, saying it wasn't what it looked like, saying anything that might smooth this over. But something in her, the same quiet voice that pushed her out into the rain, wouldn't let her lie. "Yes," she said. Rick let out a short laugh, shaking his head. "Unbelievable. It was my money. That's not the point. Maya looked at him, her exhaustion suddenly sharper. Then what is the point? The point, Rick said, stepping closer, lowering his voice, is that this place has a reputation. People come here to feel comfortable, safe, not to watch some situation like that play out. Maya blinked. A situation? You bringing street people into the equation? That's what. He wasn't hurting anyone. Rick's eyes hardened. That's not your call to make. A long silence stretched between them. Maya could feel it again. That familiar weight pressing down on her chest. The same feeling she'd had since she was a kid, standing in places where she had to prove she belonged, while others never had to think about it. I didn't bring him in, she said quietly. I just didn't turn my back on him. Rick scoffed. You think that makes you some kind of hero? No, Maya replied. I think it makes me human. For a brief second, something flickered in Rick's expression. Irritation, or maybe discomfort. But it disappeared just as quickly. Just do your job, he snapped, and keep your personal stuff out of it. Maya nodded once. Fine. She turned and walked toward table 6, forcing her body back into the rhythm she knew so well. Smile. Serve. Move on. Like nothing had happened. But everything had. The rest of the shift dragged on like time had thickened in the air. Every step felt heavier. Every interaction sharper. At one table, a man waved his empty coffee cup without even looking at her. At another, a woman complained about the temperature of her food like it was a personal insult. Maya kept moving, kept smiling, kept swallowing every word she wanted to say, because that's what she'd always done. By the time the clock neared midnight, the diner had thinned out. Chairs scraped softly against the floor as the last few customers gathered their things. Maya wiped down the counter, her hands slower now, her body finally catching up to the exhaustion. You're closing tonight, Rick said from behind her. Maya glanced up. I thought Jenna was... She called out. Of course she did. Maya nodded. Okay. Rick grabbed his keys, already heading toward the back. Make sure everything's locked up. And don't forget to take out the trash. Got it. The back door slammed shut behind him, leaving Maya alone in the dim glow of the diner. For a moment, she just stood there, listening. The hum of the refrigerator, the faint buzz of the neon sign outside, the distant sound of a bus passing on wet pavement. The city never really slept, but it felt quieter now. Maya moved slowly through the space, stacking chairs, wiping tables, collecting stray napkins left behind by people who would never think twice about the place they'd just walked out of. She paused near the window. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. The streetlight cast a pale glow over the bus stop bench across the street. Empty. She stared at it for a long moment. The spot where Daniel had been sitting just hours ago. It already felt distant, like something that had happened in another life. Maya let out a quiet breath. Hope you found somewhere warm, she murmured under her breath. She finished cleaning, tied up the trash, and stepped out into the alley behind the diner. The air hit her again, colder now, sharper without the rush of movement. She dropped the trash into the bin and stood there for a second, looking up at the dark sky. Her fingers slipped into her apron pocket out of habit. Empty. That small, familiar weight was gone. The $100. Her last $100. Reality settled in all at once. Rent. Her mom's medicine. The overdue electric bill sitting on the kitchen counter. Maya closed her eyes briefly. What did you just do? She whispered to herself. For the first time since she handed over the money, doubt crept in. Not loud, not overwhelming. Just there. A quiet question she couldn't ignore. She opened her eyes and shook her head slightly, like she could physically push the thought away. No, she said under her breath. She had made her choice, and she couldn't take it back. Maya grabbed her coat and stepped back out onto the street. The city stretched out before her, wet and glowing under streetlights and passing cars. She pulled her coat tighter around herself and started walking. The bus stop was just ahead. Her steps slowed as she approached. The bench was still empty. A single newspaper page fluttered against the ground, caught in a small puddle. Maya stood there for a moment, looking at the space where he had been. It was strange. She didn't even know him, didn't know where he came from, didn't know where he was going. But something about him had felt real, more real than most people she served every night. She sat down on the bench, the cold seeping through her coat immediately. For a second, she imagined him still sitting there beside her, the quiet way he spoke, the way he looked at her, not through her. Not many people see people anymore. His words echoed in her mind. Maya stared out at the empty street. "I saw you," she said softly. A bus roared past without stopping, spraying water along the curb. Maya didn't move. For a moment, everything felt suspended. The noise, the cold, the weight of everything waiting for her at home. And somewhere deep down, beneath the worry and exhaustion, something else stirred. A small, stubborn spark. The same one that had made her walk out into the rain. The same one that refused to let the world harden her. Maya stood up slowly. She had no idea what tomorrow would look like. No idea how she was going to fix everything that was about to crash down on her. But she knew one thing. She hadn't turned her back. And somehow, that still mattered. She pulled her coat tighter and started walking again, disappearing into the misty glow of the Brooklyn night. Behind her, the empty bench sat under the flickering streetlight, waiting. Like it knew this story wasn't over yet. Maya didn't sleep much that night. The radiator in her apartment clicked and hissed like it was struggling to breathe, filling the small room with uneven heat. Outside, the city never fully quieted, sirens in the distance, the low rumble of trucks passing over wet asphalt, voices echoing faintly from somewhere down the block. She lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, her coat still draped over her like a second skin. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that moment again. The $100 bill in her hand, the hesitation, the choice, and then nothing. Just emptiness where that money used to be. She turned onto her side, pulling the thin blanket tighter. "Stop," she whispered to herself. But her mind didn't listen, because morning was coming, and morning meant reality. The alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., sharp and unforgiving. Maya sat up slowly, her body heavy, her head pounding with the kind of exhaustion sleep couldn't fix. For a moment, she forgot. Then she reached into her pocket out of habit. Empty. The memory hit all at once. Her stomach tightened. "Okay," she said softly, swinging her legs off the couch. "Okay." She moved through her routine on autopilot, washed her face, tied her hair back, pulled on her uniform. Same motions, same rhythm. Like if she didn't stop moving, maybe the weight wouldn't catch up to her. In the small bedroom, her mother stirred. "Maya?" Her voice came, soft and strained. "I'm here, Mom," Maya answered, stepping into the doorway. Her mother lay propped up against pillows, a blanket pulled tightly around her thin frame. The morning light slipping through the cracked blinds painted pale lines across her face. "You're up early," she said. "Got the morning shift?" Maya replied, forcing a smile. Her mother studied her for a second longer than usual. You okay? Maya nodded quickly. Yeah, just tired. That wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. Her mother smiled faintly. You work too hard. Maya stepped closer, adjusting the blanket around her shoulders. Someone's got to keep the lights on. Her mother reached out, squeezing her hand gently. Just don't forget to take care of yourself too. Maya held her hand for a moment. I will, she said. But even as she said it, something inside her tightened. Because right now, taking care of herself didn't feel like an option. The cold air outside bit sharper in the morning. Maya walked quickly, her breath visible in small bursts as she made her way toward the diner. The streets were already waking up, people rushing past, coffee cups in hand, eyes fixed ahead. No one looked at anyone. No one ever did. She pushed open the diner door, the bell ringing overhead. Warmth hit her face, and so did the silence. Rick stood behind the counter, waiting. Maya slowed slightly, her instincts kicking in. Something wasn't right. You're late, Rick said, even though she wasn't. Maya glanced at the clock. It's 6:58. Rick shrugged. Close enough. She stepped further inside, her heart beginning to beat faster. I can start on coffee. Don't bother. Maya froze. Rick wiped his hands on a towel, then tossed it onto the counter like he was done with it. We need to talk. There it was, the moment she had been trying not to think about. Maya walked closer, her posture straight, her face calm. What's going on? She asked. Rick leaned back against the counter, crossing his arms. What's going on? He repeated. Is that you made a decision last night that I can't ignore? Maya felt the room shrink around her. It was my money, she said again, her voice steady but quieter now. Rick shook his head slowly. You still don't get it? Then explain it to me. You don't represent just yourself when you're on that floor, he said. You represent this place. And what you did? That wasn't professional. Maya stared at him. I helped someone who needed it. You created a scene. He was cold. That's not our problem. The words landed harder than they should have. Not our problem. Maya swallowed, her throat tightening. So what? She asked. You're gonna write me up? Rick didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached under the counter and pulled out a folder. Her folder. He set it down in front of her. You're done here, Maya. For a second, the words didn't register. What? You're fired. The diner seemed to go completely silent. Even the hum of the refrigerator faded into the background. Maya blinked. You're serious? Rick's expression didn't change. I don't have room for employees who can't follow basic expectations. Basic expectations? Maya repeated, her voice rising just slightly. Like ignoring someone freezing outside your door? Like knowing your place, Rick snapped. The words hit something deeper, something old, something familiar. Maya straightened slowly. My place? She said. Rick didn't back down. This job isn't about you feeling good about yourself. It's about keeping things running smoothly. Maya looked at him for a long moment, then she let out a quiet breath. You know what? She said, her voice softer now, but steadier than before. Maybe that's the problem. Rick frowned. What is? You think people are just things to manage? Rick rolled his eyes. Don't start with that. I'm not starting anything, Maya said. I'm just not pretending anymore. She reached for the folder, her fingers brushing the edge of it. You can keep your job, she added. Rick gave a short laugh. That's not how this works. No, Maya said, looking him straight in the eye. It is. For the first time, Rick hesitated. Just for a second. Maya picked up her coat. Her hands were shaking slightly now, but she didn't let it show. How am I supposed to pay rent? She asked quietly, more to herself than to him. Rick didn't answer, because he didn't care. Maya nodded once. Right. She turned and walked toward the door. The bell rang again as she stepped outside. The cold hit harder this time, because now it wasn't just the weather. It was everything. Maya stood there for a moment, the city moving around her like she wasn't even there. No job, no money, no backup plan. Just the echo of one decision, one moment, one act of kindness. She let out a slow breath, watching it disappear into the air. Okay, she whispered, but her voice cracked. For the first time since last night, the weight finally broke through. And it wasn't just fear. It was something deeper. A question she couldn't ignore anymore. What if doing the right thing was the wrong choice? Maya pulled her coat tighter and started walking. She didn't know where she was going, only that standing still wasn't an option. Behind her, the diner door closed, and just like that, everything she had built was gone. And she had no idea how much worse it was about to get. The cold didn't just sit on Maya's skin anymore. It sank deeper, into her bones, into the spaces between her thoughts. She walked without direction at first, her steps slow, uneven, like she was trying to outrun something she couldn't see. The streets of Brooklyn were already alive with movement, people rushing to jobs, taxis honking, the smell of coffee and exhaust blending into the morning air. Life went on, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just lost everything. Maya stopped at a corner, watching a bus pull up. The doors hissed open, and people stepped on without hesitation. They had somewhere to go, she didn't. Her fingers tightened inside her coat pockets. Okay, she murmured again, though this time the word felt thinner. Think, rent, electric bill, her mom's medication. Each thought landed like a weight stacking on her chest. She pulled her phone out, scrolling through a short list of saved job postings. Restaurants, diners, small cafes, places like the one she'd just walked out of. Places that always needed someone. Places that never really wanted someone like her. Still, she started walking. The first place was a small breakfast spot on Flatbush Avenue. Bright windows, clean counters, a chalkboard menu written in careful handwriting. Maya pushed the door open, the bell chiming softly. A woman behind the counter looked up, mid-40s, tired eyes. Help you? She asked. Maya nodded, stepping closer. Hi. I was wondering if you're hiring? The woman glanced her up and down, not unkindly, but not warmly either. You got experience? 3 years. Server, cashier, closing shifts. The woman wiped her hands on a towel, considering. We're not really looking right now, she said finally. Business is slow. Maya nodded. I understand. She turned to leave. Try back next month, the woman added, already turning away. Maya didn't respond. She stepped back out into the cold. The second place was smaller, quieter, a narrow diner tucked between a laundromat and a convenience store. The man behind the counter barely looked up when she walked in. We hiring? He repeated after she asked. Yeah, Maya said, holding on to a small thread of hope. He finally glanced at her, then at the door, then back at her. Nah, he said. That fast? Maya asked before she could stop herself. The man shrugged. Got enough help. There were only 2 people inside. Maya pressed her lips together. Thanks anyway. As she turned, she caught a glimpse of herself in the glass of the door. Tired eyes. Hair pulled back too tight. Uniform still wrinkled from yesterday. She barely recognized the woman staring back. By noon, her feet ached. By afternoon, the sky had turned gray again, heavy with more rain. Maya had walked into 7 different places. 7 variations of the same answer, no. Not right now, we'll call you, you can leave your info. No one asked for her name twice. She stopped outside a small cafe in the Bronx, her reflection blurred in the rain-streaked window. Inside, people sat with laptops, sipping coffee, wrapped in warmth. She watched them for a moment, then she pushed the door open. The bell rang softly. A young man behind the counter looked up. "Hey," he said, polite but distracted. "What can I get you?" "I'm actually looking for a job," Maya said. The man nodded slowly. "You can talk to the manager." He pointed toward the back. Maya walked over, her steps heavier now. The manager stood near the espresso machine, checking inventory on a clipboard. He looked up as she approached. "Yeah?" "Hi," Maya said. "I was wondering if you're hiring." The manager studied her. Not her resume. Not her experience. Her. "How long were you at your last place?" he asked. 3 years. Why'd you leave?" Maya hesitated. "Just for a second. I was let go this morning." The manager's expression shifted slightly. "Why?" The question sat between them. Heavy. Maya could lie. Say something simple. Safe. But something in her wouldn't. "I gave money to someone who needed it," she said. The manager blinked. "What?" "A homeless man," Maya clarified. "My manager didn't like it." Silence. The hum of the espresso machine filled the space between them. Then the manager let out a short breath, shaking his head. "We don't need trouble here," he said. The words landed harder than anything else she'd heard that day. Maya felt something inside her chest tighten. "I wasn't causing trouble," she said quietly. "Maybe not to you," he replied. "But customers notice things. They talk. We can't afford that." Maya stared at him. For a moment, she thought about arguing, about explaining, about making him see what she saw. But she didn't, because she already knew. He wouldn't. "Thank you for your time," she said instead. Her voice didn't shake, but something inside her did. She turned and walked out. The rain had started again, harder this time. It soaked through her coat almost immediately, clinging to her skin. Maya didn't run. She didn't rush. She just kept walking. Past people with umbrellas. Past storefronts glowing with warmth. Past lives that didn't include her. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She stopped under an awning, pulling it out. A notification. Past due. Electric bill. Final notice. Maya stared at the screen. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark glass behind it. For a second, everything went quiet. Not outside. Inside. Like the world had turned the volume down just for her. "What am I supposed to do?" she whispered. No one answered. Of course, no one answered. She slipped the phone back into her pocket. Her fingers felt numb now. From the cold. From everything else. Maya stepped back out into the rain and kept walking. Because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant facing something she wasn't ready to face yet. That maybe, just maybe, doing the right thing had cost her more than she could afford to lose. And the worst part? It wasn't over. Not even close. By the time Maya reached home, the rain had turned into something heavier, colder, sharper, like the sky had run out of patience. She climbed the narrow stairwell slowly, her wet shoes squeaking against the cracked concrete steps. The hallway light flickered as she passed, buzzing faintly overhead. It had been broken for months. No one ever fixed things like that in this building, not unless someone important complained. Maya reached her door and paused. For a moment, she just stood there, her hand resting on the handle, her chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. Inside that apartment was everything she had left, and right now, it didn't feel like enough. She pushed the door open. The familiar smell of old furniture and faint medicine greeted her immediately. The space was small, barely enough for a couch, a narrow table, and the worn recliner her mother insisted on keeping. The curtains were drawn halfway, letting in a dull gray light that made everything look tired. "Maya?" Her mother's voice called softly from the bedroom. "I'm home," Maya answered, forcing energy into her tone. She slipped off her shoes and hung her coat by the door, water dripping onto the floor beneath it. For a second, she stared at the small puddle forming, like even her presence brought more mess into a place already struggling to hold together. She walked into the bedroom. Her mother lay propped up again, thinner than she had been even a week ago. The lines around her eyes had deepened, and her breathing sounded heavier, like each inhale had to fight its way in. "You're early," her mother said, offering a weak smile. Maya hesitated. Just for a second. Then she sat down beside her, reaching for her hand. "Slow day," she said. Her mother studied her face. Maya knew that look, the one that saw more than she wanted to show. "You sure?" her mother asked quietly. Maya nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just not a lot of customers." Her mother didn't press. She never did. Instead, she squeezed Maya's hand gently. "Maybe that's a good thing. Means you get to rest." Maya smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Yeah," she said. "Maybe." Silence settled between them, soft but heavy. Maya glanced at the small table beside the bed. A half-empty bottle of medication sat there, the label peeling at the edges. She picked it up, turning it slightly so she could read the remaining dosage. 2 days, maybe 3. Her chest tightened. "When's your next refill?" she asked. Her mother shrugged lightly. "Soon." Maya looked at her. "Soon when?" "Doctor said by the end of the week. That's 3 days from now." Her mother's gaze drifted toward the window. "We'll figure it out. We." The word hit differently now. Maya swallowed. "I'll take care of it," she said. Her mother looked back at her, a small crease forming between her brows. "Maya." "I said I got it," Maya repeated, a little firmer this time. Her mother didn't argue, but her eyes softened. "You always say that," she murmured, "because it's always true." That part wasn't, not anymore. But Maya needed it to be. She needed something to hold on to. Her mother reached up, brushing a damp strand of hair away from Maya's face. "You've been carrying too much for too long, baby." Maya forced a light laugh. "I'm strong." "I know you are," her mother said gently. "That's what worries me." Maya didn't respond, because strength didn't feel like strength right now. It felt like pressure, like something that could crack if she pushed it just a little too far. Later that evening, the apartment grew colder. The radiator clicked again, then went quiet. Maya sat at the small kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills spread out in front of her. Electric, rent, medical. Each envelope felt heavier than the last. She opened her wallet again. Empty. Her fingers lingered there, like maybe something might magically appear if she waited long enough. It didn't. She leaned back in her chair, exhaling slowly. What did you think was going to happen? She muttered under her breath. Her eyes drifted toward the bedroom door. She could hear her mother coughing softly inside. Every sound felt louder now, more urgent, more real. Maya closed her eyes. For a brief moment, she let herself imagine the other version of today. The version where she didn't step outside, didn't hand over the money, didn't lose her job. In that version, she still had control, still had options, still had something to give. Her eyes opened again. But that version wasn't real. This one was. And in this one, she had nothing left to fall back on. Her phone buzzed again on the table. Another notification. She didn't even have to look to know what it was. Still, she picked it up. Final notice. Electric service scheduled for disconnection. Maya stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then she set the phone down carefully, like it might break if she moved too fast. Her hands rested on the table, fingers spread slightly, pressing against the worn surface. For a moment, everything felt too quiet, too still, like the world was holding its breath. Then her mother's voice broke through again, softer this time. "Maya?" She stood immediately, pushing the chair back. "I'm coming." She stepped into the bedroom, her expression already shifting back into something steady, something reassuring, something her mother needed. Her mother looked at her, eyes tired but warm. "You all right?" Maya nodded, kneeling beside the bed. "Yeah," she said. This time the lie came easier. "I'm okay." Her mother studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. Not because she believed her, but because she wanted to. "Good," she said softly. "That's all I need to hear." Maya took her hand again, holding it gently. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the window slightly. Inside, the room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were inching closer without anyone noticing. Maya stared down at their hands. Her mother's skin felt fragile, light, like something that could slip away if she wasn't careful. "I'm gonna fix this," Maya whispered. Her mother didn't respond. She just squeezed Maya's hand once. And somehow, that felt like both trust and a goodbye Maya wasn't ready to face. Maya sat there long after her mother drifted to sleep, listening, thinking, trying to find a way forward in a path that suddenly had none. And for the first time since she stepped out into the rain the night before, Maya felt it. Not doubt, not regret. Something heavier. Fear. Real, quiet fear. Because this wasn't just about her anymore. And if she couldn't fix this, she was going to lose more than just a job. Much more. And she had no idea how to stop it. The night stretched longer than it should have. Maya didn't remember falling asleep. Only the feeling of waking up suddenly, her heart racing, the room still dark, the air colder than before. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then the reality settled back in. Her job, her money, her mother, gone, gone, slipping. She sat up slowly on the couch, rubbing her face with both hands. The clock on the wall blinked 4:17 a.m., its dim red numbers casting faint shadows across the room. Too early. Too late. She couldn't tell the difference anymore. The apartment was silent except for the soft, uneven breathing coming from the bedroom. Maya turned her head toward the sound, listening closely, as if she could measure time by the rise and fall of her mother's chest. Still there. Still breathing. Maya let out a slow breath. Then she stood up. She didn't think about it too much. Didn't question why her body was already moving, pulling on her coat again, slipping her feet into damp shoes that hadn't fully dried. She just knew. There was one place she needed to go. The city at that hour felt different, quieter, but not empty. Streetlights flickered above stretches of wet pavement, casting long shadows that stretched and shifted as Maya walked. A few cars passed, tires slicing through puddles, their headlights briefly illuminating her face before disappearing into the distance. The cold bit harder now, but she kept going, step after step, until she reached the bus stop, the same one. The bench sat under the dim glow of a flickering light, just like before. The metal surface glistened faintly with leftover rain, cold and untouched. Empty. Maya slowed as she approached, her steps quieter now. For a second, she half expected him to be there again, sitting the same way, hands tucked in, eyes watching the world without being seen. But there was nothing, just the bench, the light, and the silence. Maya stood there for a long moment. Then she sat down. The cold shot through her instantly, but she didn't move. She just stared ahead. The city felt distant here, like it was happening somewhere else, somewhere she couldn't quite reach anymore. "You're not here," she said quietly. Her voice sounded small, almost unfamiliar. She let her hands rest in her lap, fingers curled slightly inward, like they were still trying to hold on to something that wasn't there anymore. "I don't even know why I came," she added, a faint breath of a laugh escaping her. But that wasn't true. She knew exactly why. Because something about that moment, last night, in the rain, had felt real in a way nothing else had in a long time. And now everything else felt like it was falling apart. Maya leaned back slightly, letting her head tilt against the cold metal behind her. Her eyes drifted upward toward the sky. Clouds moved slowly overhead, heavy and gray, swallowing any hint of sunrise before it could break through. "I did the right thing," she said softly. The words hung there, unanswered. She swallowed. "Didn't I?" The question echoed louder than anything else. For the first time since it happened, she let herself sit with it. Not push it away, not cover it with strength or determination. Just feel it. The doubt, the fear, the quiet creeping thought that maybe, just maybe, this world didn't reward people for being good. Maybe it punished them. Maya closed her eyes, and for a moment, she let everything in. The memory of Rick's voice, the looks from strangers, the empty wallet, her mother's fragile hands, the ticking clock of things she couldn't fix. Her chest tightened, her breath catching slightly. She pressed her lips together, forcing the emotion back down before it could rise any further. "Get it together," she whispered. Her voice was firmer this time, not because she felt stronger, but because she didn't have a choice. Maya opened her eyes again. The bench beside her remained empty. The world didn't shift. No answers came. Just the same quiet, indifferent morning creeping closer. A bus approached in the distance, its headlights cutting through the dim light. It slowed as it neared the stop, the engine rumbling low. Maya didn't move. The doors opened with a hiss. No one got off. The driver glanced at her briefly, waiting. Maya shook her head slightly. "Not today," she murmured. The doors closed again. The bus pulled away, and just like that, she was alone again. Maya leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees, her hands clasped loosely together. "I saw you," she said quietly, almost like a confession. The words felt heavier now, because seeing him hadn't changed anything, hadn't fixed anything, hadn't saved her. Or had it? She frowned slightly, the thought catching her off guard. For a second, something flickered at the edge of her mind. A memory. The way he had looked at her, not with pity, not with expectation, just acknowledgement. Like she mattered. Maya exhaled slowly. "That's not enough," she said under her breath. Because right now, acknowledgement didn't pay bills. It didn't buy medicine. It didn't keep the lights on. She pushed herself up from the bench. The cold clung to her, heavier now. But something else had settled in too. Not hope, not yet, but something close. A stubborn refusal to completely break. Maya pulled her coat tighter and turned away from the bus stop. The sky had begun to lighten slightly, a dull gray creeping into the edges of the world. Morning was coming, whether she was ready or not. She took a step forward, then another. The path ahead was still unclear, still uncertain. But she couldn't stay here, couldn't stay stuck in a moment that had already passed. Because somewhere out there, something had shifted. She could feel it, even if she didn't understand it yet. And whatever it was coming closer. Much closer than she realized. Maya didn't notice it at first. Not the shift, not the way the morning light seemed different as it slipped through the cracked blinds. Not the way the air in the apartment felt, still, like something was waiting. She had barely made it back home. Her body moved on instinct now, quiet, careful steps across the floor so she wouldn't wake her mother. She slipped her coat off, hung it by the door, and stood there for a second, staring at nothing. Her mind was too full, too loud, and yet, somehow, empty. She leaned against the wall, closing her eyes, just for a moment, just to breathe. The radiator clicked once, then went silent. And in that silence, there it was. A knock. Soft. Barely there. Maya's eyes opened immediately. She frowned. Maybe she imagined it. No one came by this early. No one came by at all, really. Not here. Not to this apartment. Not unless something was wrong. She held her breath, listening. Another knock. Clearer this time. Slow. Deliberate. Maya straightened, her heart beginning to beat faster. Who would be here? Her first thought was the landlord. Her stomach tightened. Had they come already? For the rent? For the notice? She moved toward the door slowly, her steps quiet against the floor. Every instinct told her to be careful, to not rush, to not assume anything. She reached the door and paused, her hand hovering over the handle. "Who is it?" she called softly. No answer. Just silence. Then, "One moment, please." The voice came through the door, calm, controlled, and strangely familiar. Maya froze. Something about that voice sent a ripple through her chest. Not fear, not exactly. Recognition. But that didn't make sense. She frowned, her grip tightening on the handle. Slowly, she turned it. The door creaked open just enough for her to see the figure standing on the other side. And everything stopped. The man standing there was not the same man from last night. Not at first glance. He stood tall now, his posture straight, composed. His coat was gone, replaced with a perfectly tailored navy suit that fit him like it had been made for him, and it probably had. His shoes were polished, catching the faint morning light. His hair was trimmed, his beard neatly kept. There was no trace of the rain-soaked, trembling figure from the bus stop, except for his eyes. Those were the same, steady, observant, seeing. Maya stared at him, her breath catching somewhere between disbelief and confusion. "Daniel?" she whispered. The man inclined his head slightly. "Yes," he said. Her hand slipped from the doorframe. She took a small step back, shaking her head like she was trying to wake herself up. "No," she murmured. "No, that's not—" "I understand how this looks," he said calmly. Maya let out a short, breathless laugh. "How it looks," she repeated. "You think that's the problem right now?" Her voice rose slightly, the confusion turning sharp. "You were out there last night," she said, pointing vaguely toward the street. "You were—" She stopped herself, because she didn't even know how to finish that sentence anymore. Cold, broken, invisible. And now he looked like someone who owned the entire street she lived on. Daniel didn't move. He simply stood there, letting her process it. Behind him, parked along the curb, was a black car Maya had only ever seen in movies. Sleek, silent, expensive in a way that didn't need to announce itself. A driver stood beside it, hands clasped in front of him, eyes forward, waiting. Maya followed her gaze to the car, then back to him. "What is this?" she asked quietly. Daniel met her eyes. "My name is Daniel Whitmore," he said. The name meant nothing, and everything, because it didn't fit. Not with the man she had met, not with the night she had lived through. "I don't—" Maya started, then stopped. Her thoughts refused to line up. "I don't understand." "I didn't expect you to," he replied. Maya folded her arms tightly across her chest, like she was trying to hold herself together. "Try me," she said. For a brief moment, something softened in Daniel's expression. Then it was gone. "I owe you an explanation," he said. Maya let out a sharp breath. "You think?" He didn't react to the edge in her voice. Instead, he glanced briefly past her shoulder toward the inside of the apartment. "May I come in?" he asked. Maya hesitated. Every instinct told her to shut the door, to walk away, to pretend this wasn't happening. But something stronger held her there, something unfinished. She stepped aside. "Make it quick," she said. Daniel nodded once and stepped inside. The space seemed to shrink the moment he entered, not because he was imposing, but because he didn't belong here. Not in a place like this, not in a life like hers. He took in the room quietly, the worn furniture, the flickering light, the small details that spoke louder than words ever could. Maya closed the door behind him, her heart still racing. "Start talking," she said. Daniel turned to face her. "You helped me last night," he began. "I gave you money," Maya corrected. "That's not the same thing." "It is," he said simply, "because you didn't have to." Maya shook her head. "People do that all the time." "No," Daniel replied. "They don't." The certainty in his voice made her pause. "You didn't look at me the way others did," he continued. "You didn't turn away. You didn't pretend I wasn't there." Maya swallowed. "Yeah," she said quietly. "Well, that didn't exactly work out for me, did it?" Something flickered in Daniel's eyes. "What happened?" he asked. Maya let out a hollow laugh. "What do you think happened?" she said. "I got fired, lost my job. That money I gave you, that was everything I had left." The words hung in the air between them. Daniel's expression didn't change much, but something behind it did. "I see," he said. "No," Maya replied, her voice sharper now. "You don't." Silence settled, heavy, uncomfortable, real. Maya took a step back, running a hand through her hair. "So what is this?" she asked. You come back dressed like that, with a car and a driver, and suddenly I'm supposed to just, what? Be grateful? That's not why I'm here, Daniel said. Then why are you here? Maya demanded. He looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time since he walked in, there was something unmistakable in his voice. Respect. Because you were the only one who saw me, he said quietly. Maya blinked. The words hit differently this time, not like a compliment, not like gratitude, like something deeper, something she didn't know what to do with. And that matters, he added. Maya stared at him, her chest tightening again, but for a different reason now. Because whatever this was, whatever he was, it wasn't over. Not even close, and somehow, this was only the beginning. The room felt smaller now, not because of the walls, but because of the truth sitting between them. Maya crossed her arms tighter, as if that could steady the sudden shift inside her chest. Daniel stood a few feet away, calm, composed, like he had all the time in the world. She didn't. Okay, she said finally, her voice quieter but sharper. You've got my attention. So explain it. Daniel nodded once as if he had expected that. I didn't lie about everything, he said. Maya let out a short breath. That's supposed to make me feel better? I was outside last night, he continued, ignoring the edge in her voice. Because I needed to be. Maya frowned. Needed to be what? Cold? Invisible? You think that's some kind of experiment? Daniel's gaze didn't waver. In a way, yes. That answer hit harder than anything else he'd said. Maya stared at him. You're serious, she whispered. I don't make a habit of joking about things like this. Maya shook her head slowly, stepping back like she needed distance to think. So let me get this straight, she said. You dressed yourself up like that, sat out in the cold, let people walk past you like you didn't exist, just to see what would happen? To see who would stop, Daniel corrected. Silence filled the space again. Maya laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You know what's crazy? She said. You had to pretend to be invisible to figure out what the rest of us already know. Daniel didn't respond immediately, because he knew she was right. Maya looked at him, something burning behind her eyes now. Not tears, not yet. Something sharper. You got to take it off, she continued. That coat, that life. You got to walk back into something warm when you were done. Her voice dropped. I don't. The words landed heavy. Real. Daniel studied her for a moment, his expression shifting slightly. Not pity, not sympathy. Understanding. I know, he said. Maya shook her head again. No, you don't. But this time her voice wasn't angry. It was tired. Daniel took a slow breath. I didn't expect anyone to help, he said. Not really. Maya frowned. Then why do it? Because I needed to know, he replied. Know what? Daniel's gaze drifted briefly toward the window, the gray morning light pressing against the glass. Who I can trust, he said. Maya blinked. That's what this is about? In part. She let out another breath, running a hand through her hair. You've got people for that, she said. Lawyers, advisors, security, whatever. I have people, Daniel agreed. But that's not the same as having truth. Maya stared at him. The way he said it, it wasn't defensive. It was honest. You think people are lying to you? She asked. I know they are, he replied. The certainty in his voice made her pause again. Daniel stepped slightly closer, Not enough to invade her space, but enough to lower the distance between them. I built something, he said. A company, a system. People rely on it, trust it. But somewhere along the way, that trust stopped being real. Maya listened now, not because she wanted to, but because something in his tone pulled her in. I've had partners turn on me, he continued. People I thought I knew. People who smiled to my face while planning something else behind my back. His voice didn't rise, didn't crack. But the weight of it was there. And when you're surrounded by that long enough, he said, you start to wonder if anyone sees you for who you are, or just for what you have. Maya swallowed. That part, she understood, more than she wanted to admit. So you decided to test strangers? She asked. I decided to remove everything that made me untouchable, Daniel said. Money, status, power, all of it, and replace it with nothing, Maya added. Yes. Silence again. Maya looked down at her hands. Congratulations, she muttered. You figured it out. Most people don't care. Daniel shook his head slightly. That's not what I found. Maya glanced up. What do you mean? I found you, he said. The words landed softly, but they carried weight. Maya looked away almost immediately. That doesn't mean anything, she said. It means everything, Daniel replied. She scoffed. No, it doesn't. It means I made a bad decision. You made a human one. And it cost me my job, she snapped. Daniel didn't argue. He just let that truth sit there. Maya paced a few steps, her energy restless now, her thoughts moving too fast. So what now? She asked. You say thank you, hand me some money, and we both go back to our lives like this never happened? Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That's one option. Maya stopped, turned to face him. And the other? Daniel met her eyes. The other is that this is the moment everything changes. Maya let out a slow breath. People say that, she said. Doesn't usually mean anything. Not usually, Daniel agreed. But this time it does? Yes. The confidence in his voice didn't feel forced. It felt certain, and that made it harder to dismiss. Maya studied him, really studied him now. The way he stood, the way he spoke, the way he didn't try to impress her. He wasn't pretending anymore. And that made this real, too real. What are you offering? She asked quietly. Daniel didn't hesitate. Help, he said. Maya's jaw tightened. I didn't ask for that. I know. I don't need charity. This isn't charity. Feels like it. Daniel shook his head. It's an opportunity. Maya laughed again, softer this time. For who? For both of us. That made her pause. How? Daniel took a step closer, his voice lowering slightly. You have something I don't, he said. Maya raised an eyebrow. And what's that? He didn't look away. Clarity. The word hung between them. Unexpected. Uncomfortable. True. Maya didn't respond right away, because she didn't know how to. Because part of her wanted to believe him, and another part didn't trust anything that sounded too good. You don't know me, she said finally. No, Daniel admitted. But I know what you did. That's one moment. That's the only moment that matters. Maya shook her head slowly. It's not that simple. I didn't say it was. Silence settled again. But this time it felt different. Not heavy, not suffocating. Just waiting. Like something was about to shift. Maya looked at him, her expression unreadable now. "You said you owe me an explanation," she said. "I did." "And?" Daniel held her gaze. That wasn't the whole truth. Maya's chest tightened slightly. "Then start talking," she said. Because whatever this was, whatever he was about to say, she had a feeling it was going to change everything. Again. Daniel didn't rush his words. He stood there, steady, like a man who understood the weight of silence. "I wasn't just testing strangers," he said finally. "I was looking for someone specific." Maya frowned. "Specific how?" "Someone who wouldn't hesitate," he replied. "Someone who didn't calculate kindness like it was a transaction." Maya let out a breath. "You're describing a miracle." "I'm describing you." She shook her head immediately. "No. Don't do that." "Do what?" "Put me on some kind of pedestal like I'm different," she said. "I'm not." Daniel didn't argue. But he didn't agree either. "You're right," he said. "You're not different in the way you think." Maya crossed her arms again. "Then what?" "You're rare," he said. The word lingered. Uncomfortable. Maya looked away. "Doesn't feel rare," she muttered. "Feels like I just lost everything." Daniel nodded slowly. "And that's exactly why this matters." Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed sharply on the table. The sound cut through the room like a warning. She glanced at it, hesitation flickering across her face. "Go ahead," Daniel said. Maya picked up the phone. Her breath caught. A notification banner stretched across the screen. Then another, and another. She frowned, her thumb moving quickly as she unlocked it. "What is this?" she whispered. Daniel watched her closely. Maya opened one of the alerts. A video, grainy, shaky, taken from inside the diner. Her stomach dropped. It was her, standing near the door, talking to Rick, then stepping outside into the rain. The camera followed just enough to catch the moment. Her handing the money to Daniel. The clip ended abruptly. Maya's heart began to pound. "Who recorded this?" she asked, her voice barely steady. Daniel's expression darkened slightly. "Probably a customer," he said, "or someone passing by." Maya scrolled. Comments flooded beneath the video. Fast. Relentless. "She gave her last money? Yeah, right. This has to be staged. Look at that guy. Probably a setup. Another fake kindness story for attention. People will do anything for clout these days." Maya's fingers trembled slightly. "No," she whispered. "Another video. This one from a different angle." Rick talking to someone off camera. His voice louder now. Clearer. "I had to let her go," he was saying. "You can't have employees creating scenes like that. Customers don't want to deal with that kind of situation." Maya felt her chest tighten. He was smiling. Like it was nothing. Like she was nothing. "They're already asking questions," he continued. "We run a clean place here. No drama." The video cut. Maya stared at the screen. Her reflection stared back at her in the dark glass. "This," she whispered. "This isn't real." But it was. The numbers under the video kept climbing. Views, shares, comments. Her name wasn't there, but her face was. And that was enough. Daniel stepped closer, glancing at the phone. "This spread faster than I expected," he said. Maya looked up at him sharply. "You expected this?" He didn't answer immediately. And that was answer enough. Her eyes narrowed. You knew this might happen. I knew there was a risk, he said carefully. A risk? Maya repeated, her voice rising. A risk that my life gets turned into a story people can tear apart? That wasn't my intention. But it happened, she snapped. Silence hit the room again. He didn't deny it. Maya turned away, pacing now, her thoughts spiraling faster. This is exactly what I didn't want, she said. People talking, judging, deciding what something means without knowing anything. She stopped, pressing her hand against her forehead. I just helped someone. Her voice broke slightly. And now I'm some kind of headline? Daniel watched her, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then something shifted. This is bigger than a headline, he said quietly. Maya let out a hollow laugh. Oh, great. That makes me feel so much better. It means people are watching, he continued. Watching what? She shot back. A woman who lost her job for doing something stupid? No, Daniel said firmly. They're watching someone who did the right thing. Maya shook her head. That's not what they see. She held up the phone again, scrolling through more comments. They see a story they can twist, she said. They see something they can argue about. They don't see me. The words landed heavy, too familiar, too true. Daniel stepped closer again. This won't last, he said. You don't know that. I do. How? Maya demanded. Because I can control what happens next. The statement hung in the air. Maya looked at him slowly. There it is, she said quietly. What? The part where this stops being about people and starts being about control. Daniel didn't respond right away, because she wasn't wrong. Maya lowered the phone, her eyes locked on his. I didn't help you so you could turn me into something, she said. I didn't ask for this. I know, he said. Then fix it. The words came out before she could stop them. And once they were out, they couldn't be taken back. Daniel studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. I will. Maya exhaled slowly, but the tension didn't leave her body, because something had already changed. The story wasn't hers anymore, not fully. It had escaped, and now the world had its hands on it. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number. She hesitated, then opened it. A simple text. We need to talk. Call me. No name. No context. Maya stared at the screen, then looked up at Daniel. What did you bring into my life? She asked quietly. Daniel met her gaze, and for the first time, there was no calm certainty in his eyes. Only something deeper, something complicated. Something that was already there, he said. Maya swallowed, because deep down, she knew he was right. This wasn't just about one moment or one decision. It was about everything that came after. And now, there was no turning away from it. The world had seen her, and it wasn't looking away. The apartment felt different now, smaller, louder, like the walls themselves had started listening. Maya stood still in the center of the room, her phone still in her hand, the screen glowing faintly against her skin. Notifications kept stacking on top of each other, one after another, like waves that refused to stop crashing. She didn't open them anymore. She didn't need to. She already knew what they said. Daniel stood near the window, his posture calm, but his silence carried weight now. Not control, not certainty, responsibility. I can make this stop, he said after a moment. Maya let out a quiet breath. No, she replied. He turned slightly, surprised. I can, he insisted. A statement. Legal action. We can shut it down before it spreads further. Maya shook her head slowly. That's not stopping it, she said. That's burying it. Daniel watched her carefully. And what would you rather do? He asked. Maya didn't answer right away. Because she didn't know, or maybe she did. Her eyes drifted toward the bedroom door. It was slightly open, just enough for her to hear her mother shifting softly inside. That sound grounded her, brought everything back into focus. This wasn't about strangers on the internet, or headlines, or opinions. This was about what came next. Maya stepped forward, setting her phone down on the table with a quiet, deliberate motion. You said you were offering help, she said. Daniel nodded once. I was. Then be honest with me. I am. No, Maya said, her voice steady now, fully honest. Daniel didn't interrupt. He waited. Maya met his eyes. What does that help actually look like? She asked. The question hung in the air. Heavy, real. Daniel took a slow breath before answering. It looks like security, he said. Stability. A job. One that doesn't disappear overnight. Access to resources you don't currently have. Maya listened, her expression unreadable. And in return? She asked. Daniel's brow tightened slightly. This isn't a transaction. Everything is a transaction, Maya replied quietly. You said that yourself, just in different words. Daniel didn't deny it this time. Instead, he stepped closer, his voice softer. In return, I want you to work with me, he said. Maya blinked. Work with you? Yes. Doing what? Daniel held her gaze. Helping me rebuild something that's broken. Maya let out a short breath, almost a laugh. You're asking a waitress to fix a billionaire's problems? I'm asking someone who sees clearly to help me make better decisions, he said. That's not a job, Maya replied. It can be. Silence stretched between them. Maya looked down at the floor, then back up again. You don't even know if I can do that, she said. I know you can, Daniel answered. How? Because you already have. Maya frowned. When you chose to help me, he continued. You made a decision without fear, without calculation. That kind of instinct. Most people lose it. Maya shook her head. Or maybe I just made a mistake. Daniel stepped closer again. Then why don't you regret it? He asked. The question landed harder than she expected. Maya opened her mouth, then closed it. Because the truth was, she didn't. Not completely. Not in the way she thought she would. She hated what had happened after. The consequences. The loss. But the moment itself? The choice? That still felt right. And that scared her more than anything. Maya exhaled slowly. You're asking me to trust you, she said. Yes. After all this? Yes. Maya looked at him for a long moment. Really looked. Not at the suit. Not at the car outside. At him. At the man who had sat in the cold, letting the world pass him by just to understand something he couldn't buy. You could just give me money, she said quietly. Make all of this go away. I could, Daniel admitted. And you're not. No. Why? Daniel didn't hesitate. Because that wouldn't change anything, he said. Not for you. Not for me. Maya felt something shift inside her. Subtle, but real. She walked past him slowly, stopping near the table where her phone still buzzed faintly with incoming messages. She looked down at it, then at the bills scattered beside it, then toward the bedroom door. Everything she needed, everything she could lose, all in one place. "What if I fail?" she asked quietly. Daniel turned to face her. "Then we adjust," he said, "and keep going." "That's easy for you to say. Not as easy as you think." Maya studied him again, and for the first time, she saw it. Not just confidence, not just control, pressure. The same kind she carried, just heavier, hidden better. She nodded slowly, not agreeing, not yet, but understanding something she hadn't before. "You said you wanted someone who sees clearly," she said. "I do." Maya took a breath, then let it out. "Then let me be clear," she said. Daniel waited. "I'm not your project," she continued. "I'm not your redemption story, and I'm definitely not something you fix because it makes you feel better." Daniel didn't flinch. "Understood. If I do this," Maya added, "it's on my terms." A beat. Then Daniel nodded. "Name them." Maya hesitated. Because this was the moment. The one where everything could change again. The easy path sat right in front of her. Take the money, fix the bills, protect her mother, survive. Or step into something bigger, risk everything again, for something she couldn't see yet. Maya closed her eyes briefly, then opened them. "I don't want a handout," she said. Daniel nodded. "I want a chance." Silence. Then, a faint smile touched his expression. "Good," he said. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say." Maya didn't smile back. Not yet. Because she knew this wasn't the end of her struggle. It was the beginning of something harder, something uncertain, something real. And as her phone buzzed again behind her, as the world kept watching, Maya made her choice. Not for money, not for approval, but for something deeper. Something that had been there long before any of this started. The part of her that refused to disappear, even when everything else tried to erase her. And this time, she wasn't going to let it go. The city didn't slow down for anyone. Not for people who lost their jobs. Not for people trying to rebuild their lives from nothing. And definitely not for people like Maya Carter. But something had changed. Not outside. Inside. The next morning, the sky over Brooklyn was clear for the first time in days. Sunlight spilled across the streets, reflecting off windows, warming the edges of a city that usually felt cold no matter the weather. Maya stood on the sidewalk in front of a building she had never imagined herself walking into. Glass, steel, clean lines that reached up into the sky like they belonged to a different world entirely. Whitmore Technologies. She stared at the name etched in polished metal beside the entrance. For a second, she almost laughed. "Still feels unreal, doesn't it?" Daniel's voice came from beside her. Maya didn't look at him right away. "Feels like I'm about to get turned away at the door," she said. "You won't. You don't know that." "I do," he replied calmly. Maya finally glanced at him. He wasn't dressed like yesterday, not as formal, still sharp, still him. But something about the way he stood beside her now, it didn't feel like he was above her. It felt like he was waiting. Maya took a breath, then stepped forward. The glass doors opened automatically. No hesitation, no questions. Just a quiet acceptance she wasn't used to. Inside, everything was bright. Polished floors reflected the light like mirrors. People moved with purpose, dressed in clean lines and confidence. Voices were low, controlled. Even the air felt different, cool, precise, intentional. Maya felt it immediately. The contrast, the distance between this place and everything she had known. A receptionist looked up as they approached. Her eyes flicked from Daniel to Maya just for a second. A moment, a judgment. Then it disappeared. "Good morning, Mr. Whitmore," she said smoothly. Daniel nodded. "Morning." Her gaze returned to Maya. "And you are?" Maya opened her mouth, but Daniel spoke first. "She's with me." The receptionist didn't question it, didn't ask for ID, didn't hesitate. "Of course," she said. Maya felt something shift again, subtle, but powerful. She followed Daniel toward the elevators, her steps steady, even if her thoughts weren't. "You see that?" she said quietly once they were out of earshot. "See what?" She didn't ask anything else. Daniel pressed the elevator button. "That's how this world works," he said. Maya nodded slowly. "Yeah," she said. "I'm starting to notice." The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. As the doors slid shut, Maya caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. Same face, same eyes, same woman who had been standing in the rain just 2 nights ago. But something was different, something sharper, more grounded, more certain. The elevator moved, up. The office was unlike anything she had seen before. Open space, glass walls, screens filled with data and movement, people working quietly, efficiently, like every second mattered. Daniel led her through it without stopping. Some people looked up, some didn't. But the ones who did, they noticed her. Maya could feel it. The curiosity, the confusion, the quiet question hanging in the air. Who is she? She kept walking, didn't shrink, didn't look away. Daniel stopped at a glass-walled conference room. "Wait here," he said. Maya nodded. He stepped inside. The door closed. For the first time since she entered the building, she was alone. Maya stood there, taking it in. The space, the people, the world she had stepped into. Her phone buzzed again. She pulled it out slowly. More notifications, more messages, more noise, but this time, she didn't feel the same weight, because something else had taken its place. Clarity. She looked up again. Across the room, 2 employees whispered to each other, glancing in her direction. Maya met their gaze, didn't flinch, didn't look away. They turned back quickly. That was new. The door opened. Daniel stepped out. "Come on," he said. Maya followed him inside. The room was quiet, minimal. A long table, large windows overlooking the city, and a man sitting at the far end. Older, sharp eyes, expensive suit, the kind of presence that didn't need to introduce itself. "This is Mr. Halverson," Daniel said. "Board advisor." The man studied Maya carefully. Not unkindly, but thoroughly. "You're the one," he said. Maya didn't sit. "Depends on what you think I am," she replied. A flicker of something, approval maybe, passed through his expression. "Interesting," Halverson said. Daniel pulled out a chair. "Sit," he told Maya. She did. Not because she was told, but because she chose to. Halverson leaned back slightly. "I've seen the footage," he said. Maya didn't react. "I've seen the reaction," he continued. "The public response, the narrative forming." "And?" Maya asked. Halverson's lips curved faintly. "It's messy," Maya nodded. That's one way to put it. Daniel stepped forward. We're not here to clean up a narrative, he said. We're here to build something better. Halverson looked between them. And she's part of that? Daniel didn't hesitate. Yes. Halverson's gaze returned to Maya. Then let me ask you something, he said. Maya met his eyes. Go ahead. If you had the chance to take the easy way out, he said. Would you? Maya didn't answer immediately. She thought about the money, the bills, her mother, everything pressing down on her. Then she thought about the moment in the rain. The choice she made. The one she didn't regret. No, she said. Halverson raised an eyebrow slightly. Why not? Maya leaned forward just a little. Because easy doesn't fix anything, she said. It just delays the problem. Silence. Then, Halverson nodded slowly. Good answer. He stood. I'll be watching, he said. Not a threat, not a promise, just a fact. Then he walked out. The door closed behind him. Maya exhaled slowly. What was that? She asked. Daniel's expression softened slightly. That, he said, was the beginning of people taking you seriously. Maya let that sink in, because it meant something real. She looked out the window. The city stretched below her. Same streets, same people, same world. But from here, it looked different, not smaller, just clearer. Maya turned back to Daniel. So what happens now? She asked. Daniel met her gaze. Now, he said, we change the story. Maya nodded once, because for the first time since everything fell apart, she felt it. Not hope, not yet, but something stronger, control. And this time, she wasn't the one being written into someone else's story. She was writing her own. And the world? The same world that had watched her fall, was about to watch her rise. Months passed. Not in a blur, not in some overnight transformation, but in steady, deliberate steps that felt more real than anything Maya had ever experienced. The city hadn't changed. Brooklyn was still Brooklyn. The same cracked sidewalks, the same flickering streetlights, the same people rushing past each other without looking twice. But Maya had changed how she stood inside it. The building wasn't glass and steel this time. It was brick. Old, worn, but standing strong on a corner that most people ignored. A place that used to be abandoned. Boarded windows, broken doors, forgotten by anyone who had a choice. Now warm light spilled through every window. Voices filled the air. Laughter. Conversation. Life. Maya stood just inside the doorway, watching as people moved around the space. Some carried trays of food. Some sat at long tables, eating slowly, carefully, like they weren't used to having enough. Others talked quietly, sharing stories that had nowhere else to go. This wasn't a restaurant. It wasn't a shelter. It was something in between, something new. A place where no one was invisible. A place where people were seen. Maya stepped further inside. "Morning, Miss Carter," a young volunteer called out, balancing a stack of plates. Maya smiled. "Morning, James. You're early." "Got a lot to do today," he said with a grin. "Good," she replied. "That means we're doing something right." She moved through the space with ease now, greeting people by name, checking on supplies, adjusting things that needed adjusting. This place. It wasn't just an idea anymore. It was real, and it was hers. Not because she owned it, but because she built it. With every decision, every late night, every moment she chose to stay instead of walking away. Maya stepped into the kitchen area, where steam rose from large pots and the smell of fresh food filled the air. "Need help?" she asked. One of the cooks shook his head. "We're good. You just keep doing what you're doing." Maya nodded, because she knew what that meant now. Keep showing up. Keep seeing people. Keep choosing. She turned back toward the main room, and that's when she saw him. He stood near the doorway, not in a suit this time, not surrounded by anyone, just standing there, hands at his sides, watching. Daniel. For a moment, everything slowed. Not the room, not the people, just her. Maya walked toward him, her steps steady, her expression calm. "You're early," she said. Daniel smiled faintly. "I could say the same thing about you." She shrugged. "I've got work to do." He glanced around the space, taking it in. "You've built something incredible here." Maya followed his gaze. "I didn't build it alone." "But you led it," he said. She didn't argue, because that part was true. Daniel stepped inside, the door closing quietly behind him. For a moment, they just stood there, not as a billionaire and a waitress, not as strangers, but as two people who had crossed paths at exactly the right moment. "I remember this feeling," Daniel said softly. Maya looked at him. "What feeling?" "Being outside," he replied, "watching everything from a distance, wondering if anyone would notice you were gone." Maya nodded slowly. "Yeah," she said, "I remember that too." Silence settled between them, but it wasn't heavy. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was understood. Daniel looked at her again. "You didn't take the easy way," he said. Maya let out a quiet breath. "No," she replied. "I didn't." "And now?" Maya glanced around the room once more, at the people, at the life moving through the space, at the warmth that hadn't existed here before. "Now I don't need to," she said. Daniel studied her. Then he nodded. "I'm glad," he said. Maya smiled slightly. "Me too." A man at one of the tables raised his hand. "Maya! You got a minute?" She turned. "Always," she called back. Then she looked at Daniel again. "You staying?" she asked. "For a while," he said. Maya nodded. "Good." She started to walk away, then paused, turned back. "I didn't save you, you know," she said. Daniel raised an eyebrow slightly. "No." Maya shook her head. "You just reminded me who I was." The words landed softly, but they carried everything. Daniel didn't respond right away, because he understood, more than she realized. Maya turned again, moving back into the room, into the work, into the life she had chosen. And this time, no one looked through her. No one turned away. Because she wasn't invisible anymore. She never really had been. The world had just needed a reason to see her, and now it couldn't look away. Light filled the space, warm, steady, real. And for the first time in a long time, everything felt exactly where it was supposed to be. Maya Carter once stood in the cold, handing her last $100 to a stranger no one else would even look at. And in the end, she built a place where no one would ever feel invisible again. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is act when it makes no sense, when there's nothing to gain and everything to lose. Because one moment of courage, like Maya's in the rain that night, can quietly rewrite the direction of an entire life. Next time you see someone the world has already decided doesn't matter, don't overthink it. Just pause, look, and show up. Even in the smallest way, the way Maya did. Because that's where real change begins. If this story meant something to you, comment one below and tell me, have you ever done something kind for a stranger, not knowing what it might lead to? Stay with me. The next story might change the way you see the people around you.